Okay, then let's move to the item 5, Education Spotlight.
We've got 2 teachers, high school teachers, and just for the public, we try to do a spotlight each month on something that's going on and rotate that through. This is high school, these are 2 high school teachers, and I think next month we're talking middle school and then elementary in December, like that sound right? So Larissa Rupp now and Denise Waters. Larissa teaches in the agricultural area and Denise teaches in social studies. District-wide, we've been working on our professional development. Last year was something called Teaching for Understanding, and an outgrowth of that is Understanding by Design, UBD, and concept-based teaching and learning. And they have gotten their feet wet with this, so ladies.
Well, I will try to do a brief excerpt about what Understanding by Design is. I am just getting started on using Understanding by Design, so the information that I just handed out to you is a rough draft form of something that Mr. Litter and Bart Krudoff and myself have been working on. I have offered 2 new classes this year, and this one is actually one that I am doing the new curriculum work with. So this is just kind of a rough outline of what UBD looks like. And then Denise has actually been teaching it this year, so she's going to kind of show some of the things that she's been doing and a little bit of feedback, because I'm not teaching this class yet. It's not offered until spring semester. So, but anyway, I don't want to read everything word for word here, but just kind of want to give you guys an overview of what it is. Basically, UBD is a framework for trying to get students to understand. Understanding by Design it is the whole theme all the way through. It's curriculum driven. It helps teachers set very clear goals, to help set very clear assessments, so we know exactly what it is that we want our students to know when we get done with a particular unit or item of study. The neat thing is, though, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, you work backwards. Which is very different than most curriculum. Most curriculum, okay, this is what I want to teach, and then I get to the end, this is my assessment, this is what I want to know, I want the kids to know from what I taught. You do it completely backwards. You say, okay, this is what I want my kids to know and to be able to understand and to be able to do, and then figure out, okay, how do I need to go about teaching that? So it's completely backwards in design compared to what we've been used to. The primary goal, again, of education should be for students to understand. And again, the big thing with this is authentic opportunities for kids to explain, interpret, emphasize, analyze, perspective, whatever. So again, trying to get that realistic point of view in there instead of, okay, well, we teach this and we take this true and false test or this little multiple choice and we call it good. Is to really get the kids doing something authentic and being able to apply something in a different situation. That's the really cool thing about it. Okay, so you can do it in this little set or this little piece, but if I give you something that's completely new and different, can you take what you've learned and apply it in that setting? In my veterinary technology class, I think that's a huge thing, because there's so many things you can't, kids, the veterinarians, whatever, cannot know everything there is to know about all livestock at all times. But I've seen this situation before. What can I take from what I've learned here and apply it to a different situation? So I'm very excited about being able to do this, and I think it's going to be really great for the kids too. So, and I've got a lot of interest in kids taking this class. So basically, again, with it, there's these 6 facets that you follow, again, with that backwards design. And it kind of gets away from just textbook coverage. I'm not one that teaches by textbook, I never have, but there are some teachers, okay, this is the unit, this is what we do, this is the unit, this is what we do, or we throw a lot of activities in there to make things fun and exciting and interesting, whatever. But again, we don't really have that goal in mind at the end, exactly what do we want the kids to know. And this helps get away from that textbook coverage or just activities just because they're fun, but to make sure that they really get us to that end point. Again, student performance, school performances can also be raised through this because, again, it's that authentic unit of it. When they can figure it out, they can apply it in our setting. Can we get them to use that knowledge, that skill, and to be able to do that understanding and being able to figure out and problem solve on their own. And again, teachers that were most effective when we get feedback. That's one of the big things about this too. We get feedback from the kids. We get some peer coaching, some peer teaching, things like that, so we can see you know, how did this go? How did the kids like it? Let the kids tell us. Because the kids are the ones that need to learn this and they need to understand it. So get a little bit of feedback from them, and then now that you have it, do something with that feedback. Instead of just getting it, okay, well they didn't do very good on this test, well, put it in the grade book and call it good. Okay, oh, why did they or why didn't they, and what can we do to make it better for the next time? So that's one of the things that really stressed in here. So teachers, schools, and districts benefit obviously from working smarter through this, designing, sharing, again, peer reviews. What it offers is a backward planning. It's a set of design standards with rubrics, and again, comprehensive training. Training, getting the assistance. I have sat down with Litter and Mrs. Krudoff, and we have gone through many hours of putting this stuff together to have people help you and to coach you through. And we've got, you can see there's editing that's already done on that little packet that I've already put out there, because we're changing some of the wording and how it's going to go. But again, going through and editing and critiquing and getting reviews and things like that along the way. What it's not, this is not a prescriptive plan to fix things. Okay, I'm going to take this and we're just going to fix it and it's all going to be perfect. That's not what it's not. And it's not a new philosophy on education. We've always wanted students to understand. But now we're just taking a different approach to making sure that our students understand. And it is focused on the design of the curriculum. And the big thing, and again, I've not taught this yet, but from my understanding, you don't have day-to-day grades. So that's one of the things that we had some parents, I think last year, they're a little concerned, well, I don't see a grade every day or every other day. Because it's not based on daily lesson plans, it's based on big units. And we have big projects that are, again, are that authentic assessment to see if they really got the big picture, and it's not these just little day-to-day lesson planning. Where I got my information from is from the people that actually are in charge of UPD and whatever, so I did not make any of that information up. I kidnapped it all from their website, from their book. So, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what UBD is. The biggest thing is making sure that students understand, because when they understand, they can do so much more with it instead of just a little bit of a test of yes or no, true or false type situation. The papers that I handed out show you, if I can get them to pop up here. I'm sorry, we've got my shows here on. Doesn't he? He's lovely. Okay.
Looks like it would taste good.
I bet he did, although we didn't eat him. I don't think Will would have been all over that so much. I'm sorry, I thought I had my stuff open. And I don't. One of these days I'll get you. Okay, just look at the sheets in front of you. I don't know where it went. Where did it go? I took it out of that folder and I put it in the board folder. Okay, the one sheet that I showed, or that you have there, this is basically our whole semester planning of what it's going to look like. So you can kind of get to see the big idea. All of the systems, this is again veterinary technology, all systems are interconnected. You can see the conceptual lens and the different things that the students are going to have to be able to know, and their essential questions and how you design everything. So it's pretty much, I've got everything all figured out from the beginning of the semester until the end of the semester. So we've got all that anatomy, physiology for the first 3 months of the class. Because if kids don't understand anatomy and physiology, they're not going to understand anything else. They're not going to understand the nutrition, the disease, the problems. If you don't understand the muscular system, the disease, or digestive system and all that goes along with it. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what that might look like. And then the big thing, and I'm sorry for my name, so I have the big hog, I'm the ag teacher here. So you have this huge assessment. And you have some larger assessments all through along, but this is my big assessment that's going to be my semester test. And it basically encompasses the entire semester about what we've been doing and what we've been teaching. And the kids are going to be given a video clip that I've been working with Dr. Bettine, and he's been taking video clips of different things that he has happen at the vet clinic or when he's out on farms. And we're taking these video clips, and then the kids are going to get a scenario. And then they're going to go through, okay, here's my video clip. This is what happened. What do I know? What don't I know? Okay, what questions do I need to ask? Whatever. And kind of go through what a veterinarian would do based on what they have learned throughout the entire semester. And to me, I just think this is going to be a really awesome way to see if we can just kind of wrap everything up that the kids have been learning about livestock production, disease, and the whole deal, and this will be their semester finals.
So will you have tests over phase 1, 2, and 3?
You know, we don't have that assessment stuff done yet. That is what we have
You have a
work to do
final test
yet.
for sure.
You will have tests and quizzes and things just randomly within, and I know for sure, because when I do my systems, there's like 13 different systems that the kids need to know, whether it's respiratory, the circulatory, digestive, and I'm not going to put all that off at the end. I mean, we need to do some assessment along the way, but this is going to be like their big final thing. Do they get it? Do they understand? Do they see how everything works together? Because animals can't talk. They can't walk up and tell you, you know, I broke my leg here, and I don't know how I did it, or whatever. I mean, you have to be able to look at these guys and figure out from their behaviors how they act, how they react, to be able to figure out, okay, so what can we do now? And like I said, Dr. Bettine has just been the absolute greatest in helping me do this, put the class together. He's doing all these videotapes. We're going to sit down and write all the scenarios up. He helped me even with the grading. He thought that the scenario, 35% of their final grade should be based on that. What did they actually see? How did they diagnose the problem? Their questioning is supposed to be, I think, 50%. I don't have that written in there. It's 50% because he said that's the most important thing. He's like, people think, well, you're a vet, so you just work with animals. No, communication, he said, is #1 because, again, the animals can't talk, so you have to communicate with the producer, with the owner, whatever, and find out what do they know. And he said communication is such a big thing, so he thought that that would be 50%. And then I think diagnosis at the end, he said that should be the smallest percent, the 15. He said, because there's things, he's like, I don't even know. And he's been a vet for how many years, and he said, sometimes I can't always diagnose that. He said, so that should be a very small percent. But anyway, it's been awesome to be able to put this stuff together, and I cannot wait to use this in class. I just think it is just going to be great for the kids, and I know I'm going to enjoy it a lot. So, but I guess at this point, I will let Denise kind of talk about what she's been doing, because I haven't taught it, she has been teaching it. So, Denise, did you want yours projected up?
You can.
Just turn it
I
off.
used UBD with my world history class, juniors. The first unit, the civilizations, and I took some notes while Alyssa was talking. I keep calling you Alyssa. Larissa. Something I don't know if you said or not, it aligns with the Iowa Core. So that whole stuff with the concept teaching, it exactly goes along with that. We need to think of it more as the kids are uncovering the information instead of going, the inch deep and a mile wide thing, just to get through it. This day and age, as you know, we can internet search pretty much anything. They need to understand how and why, and it happened in ancient Greece, it happened again later, and it can happen now, and what those things are. Transfer across subject, you did say that. I think the biggest thing I've taken away, well, maybe not the biggest thing, but one big thing I've taken away, make it obvious. I always thought I was teaching this stuff, but this just makes it completely obvious. The first side there that I gave you, that I wrote unit outline at the top, this is the sheet that I gave the kids when we started the unit. Yes, that is the one, thank you. No, that is not the one. Sorry. That's the same information. There you go, thank you. Basically just explaining what we're doing. Then I gave them the essential concept there in the bold, and again that's straight out of Iowa Core. The essential understandings, I didn't make those up, those are straight out of Iowa Core. And I explained what that was. The essential questions for the first unit, development of civilizations, going from hominids just living in groups for survival into actual civilizations where they developed religions and governments and specialized workers and all that stuff. And I'd ask the kids, do you really need to know what happened in Mesopotamia? Well, no, that doesn't matter. But does it reflect now in different countries such as Somalia and Iraq and Afghanistan that those systems are breaking down and it's having a reaction in 2011? And that was our end result, our end product. Along the way, I gave them a preliminary list, and I changed these around and altered them, because as I went through them I realized some of them didn't make sense, and the order didn't always make sense. But this was my first draft of different tasks that we would do along the way. coming down to the end product, which was, again, researching that stuff. And that whole description is on the back, if you want to put that over. The end product is what they did. So this was their test. They researched the country of their choice. They had to tell me each of the breakdowns of what makes a civilization, where that country fell apart. And that was their test, I guess, of did they understand it. The feedback from the kids has been great. Every day somebody says, I like this so much better than learning vocabulary words, taking a test, and never using them again. So the kids do see the value, and it's amazing some of the kids that you wouldn't think would care that get this.
So the engagement level with the kids, you're seeing a difference?
Way jumped way, way up. Yep. Yep, and they're getting it.
Yeah, so if they're engaging, then they're learning.
Exactly.
And their understanding.
That's the main
And
thing.
again, the big thing is, again, can we take that, what we get in here, just like she said, and apply it to a different situation? What happened in Mesopotamia? How does that impact what is happening in other places and other parts of the world? And that's the whole big thing, that just that big understanding of what we're teaching. So.
And then as part of our working with the teachers, and like we've been in Denise's room 2 times now, videotaped her as she's teaching and interacting with the kids. We'll be in there one more time. So as they progress, they're also getting continuous, constant feedback from both me and Jill Sundblad and Barb Kudoff on what we're seeing. We're asking questions, we're talking to kids. The potential for this to be a very powerful tool and program is absolutely enormous. And we were talking at our last staff meeting. The state of Iowa has petitioned the United States Department of Ed to get a waiver on No Child Left Behind. And one of those criteria that you're going to have completed for the waiver to go through is how are you going to continue to measure success and what data are you going to use. And a lot of this stuff all goes back to conceptual teaching. You know, when I was going through school, when I was in the classroom, everything was topical. We talked about World War II, Civil War, all those things, but it was all topic-based. We're moving away from topical discussions to conceptual teaching. You know, what is the big concept we're trying to get? Because, you know, the litmus test that we use, we talk about, is it a topic or is it a concept? We talk about, is what we're teaching, is it timeless? You know, you look at what Denise was going over, we're talking about conflict, we're talking about civilization, we're talking about technology. Those are timeless concepts that have been from the time of Mesopotamia to today. And that, you know, that's one. We look at universality, I don't know if this is a term or not, but universality. How far does it go beyond? Okay, is it a universal concept? All right, does it go from, you know, from when, like I said, Mesopotamia to now? You know, because we talk about in the area of social studies, time doesn't stop. But for social studies teachers who taught history, they tried to teach ancient civilization all the way to the present. So you're going to take a span, in 9 months, you're going to cover the world at its beginnings. It doesn't. I mean, it's unrealistic, and in some cases, it's not good teaching because they're getting so much information, and their heads are exploding. And so the conceptual way and the conceptual analysis really pares that down and gives them the freedom to focus on what they need to focus on. And you're going to hear a lot about UBD as it continues to move through ESAC, and we're partnered up with the Rennes Marathon and Dual Fonda. And so there's some collegial teaching and discussions going on too, but it's a lot of work. They make it sound very simple, and that's something that was just thrown together. It is a phenomenal amount of work for these 2 ladies to jump on board and do this. And we've got our social studies department doing this. Jeff Niels is getting prepared for this. The science department, or the science teachers in the elementary have been doing it. The middle school teachers in English and social studies are doing it. So it's just, it's excellent. It's time consuming, but you know what? The bottom line is kids are going to be the beneficiary of that. And that's what it's all about.
They hate that they can't just Google an answer. They hate that. I just laugh. because they're actually having to think and pull out their own examples and do stuff.
But like I said, these two have put in a large amount of time, and for Denise to allow me and Barb and Sunblatt to jump into her class and videotape her, is appreciated, and Larissa Rupp now will get it here in about 2-3 months.
What do you do with that video then, Kevin? You go back and watch it? And
we
see
watch
how
it.
you do
We actually use it for other trainings, for other teachers. We use it for a variety of ways. We're actually using technology. At one point, we had Barb and I were in the classroom, and we were using an iPad to project what she was doing, because Jill Sunblatt was in Lorenz, I think is where she was at, and she was watching it on another computer with some other teachers that were there as well. So, yeah, it's pretty valuable that we're using. And plus, it gives them a chance to see, and we can look back, and as we talk about this with other teachers, this is what was going on, here's the big idea. It just helps us to analyze what we're doing.
You get recent current situation in which civilization has failed its people, and then you list a half a dozen countries there. Might be interesting to do that relative to the United States. And we've got a lot of unrest, a lot of protests taking place in this country right now, and they're asking for not only social change, but economic, government change.
Yep.
It's very similar to the Bolshevik Revolution and how it started, so it might be interesting to talk about that a little bit.
And that's what's neat is just how universal this can fall into place in different discussions, different contexts, different time periods, different places. Absolutely. And that's what's neat about it. It offers kids taking what they learned from Mesopotamia and applying it today. Same context, same kind of general ideas, with different time periods.
So is this something that we can do in more subjects than just these two?
That's what our whole professional development here from now, I don't even know how many years out we've got it.
2014.
2014 that we're putting these together.
Yeah.
But it takes an unbelievable amount of time, and you get done working on this stuff and you just feel like you've been run over by a train. I locked myself in my room because I had to get some stuff done before I was meeting Barb again, and to go through some stuff, and for 5 hours I worked on it. I got out of there, I'm just like, oh, I mean, I just thought I was so done. But I mean, when you get done with it and the stuff that you've got, it's so cool. And I can't wait to have the opportunity to use it in the spring.
And the feedback from kids, I'm just using Denise as an example, has been just wonderful. I mean, it's fun to go into
That's the main
classrooms.
thing. I mean, we can sit here and talk about this all we want to if the teachers are happy with it, but if the kids are learning from it, that's what we need.
Our intent is by the fall of 2012, every teacher will be rolling out a unit.
That's going to be,
It's pretty aggressive,
it
but
is
that's the
very
plan.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Knowing how much I did this summer and having you and Barb right there with me the whole time, I mean, it is,
Well,
it's a big deal.
we should back up just historically a little bit too, and I think Kevin, you alluded to it, but Mike and all the third grade teachers last year worked through this model brilliantly with science, and then the fourth grade teachers got involved. So these are two examples of what's going on that's going to continue to grow. And I think if you talk to the teachers that have immersed themselves in this, you'll get a pretty common response.
I think they like teaching, that's way better.
Yeah.
Well, the exciting thing about it is that we hear so much about what's being expected today, the Iowa Corps and related type requests made at schools. And we wondered, the public wonders, what are we doing? Is our school doing anything? This is the evidence that we are, and it's very exciting to find out about it.
It's really neat too, because like with mine, obviously my stuff is very much science-based that I'm doing, so a lot of my stuff is coming from Iowa Corps Science. But so much of the workplace skills, because the kids are going to go work at the vet clinic and they have to do so many hours of clinical work with the vet. And so all these workplace skills and things that they're getting that's part of the Iowa Corps that, is in my science class. So that's really kind of neat how we can just kind of blend everything together and make it work too. So
good to get all this information, because when I go to get my haircut, then I get some ammunition to fire back at that barber. Why we're paying those people so much money.
The other thing
They
too,
only teach 9 months out of the year, only work 9 months out of the year.
the other thing too, and I've always said that once I don't feel excited about teaching classes anymore, I don't think I need to be teaching classes anymore. And the spark that I cannot wait to teach this new class. I mean, I really can't. So I think it just kind of gives you a whole new perspective and gets you fired up about teaching again and doing something very different than what you've done in the past. So I'm very anxious.
All I can say is thank you. I really appreciate the work that you're doing and hearing about it. Great.
Good. Glad you did this.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.